The accident 3 weeks earlier, Tunde's car plunged into a river. Police believed it was an accident. The rain was heavy. The road was slippery. Nobody expected anyone to survive. His wife Saad cried endlessly. His best friend Kunal helped organize the funeral. But the truth was something nobody knew. Tunde survived. Because just before the crash, he realized something terrifying. The brakes had been cut. The hidden truth: Tunde woke up in a small clinic days later, injured, weak, but alive. And while recovering, he thought about everything. The strange phone calls, Kunal visiting his wife too often. The secrets. Slowly the truth became clear. Someone had tried to kill him. And he suspected exactly who. So he made a decision. He would not tell anyone he survived. Sometimes the best way to expose the truth is to let people believe you are dead. The funeral 3 weeks later, Tunde watched his own funeral from behind a tree. His wife cried loudly. Kunal stood beside her, comforting her too comfortably. Then Kunal whispered something into Said's ear. She nodded. Tunde clenched his fists because he knew exactly what they were planning, and they thought he was dead. The funeral ended. People began leaving. Tunde stepped out from behind the tree and walked toward them. Saad looked up. Her face turned pale. Kunal froze. Tunde smiled slowly. "Miss me?" Said's scream cut through the quiet cemetery. "Tunde." Her voice trembled as she stared at the man standing in front of her. Kunal stepped back like he had just seen a ghost. "That's impossible," he whispered. You're dead." Tunde tilted his head slightly. "That's funny," he said calmly. "I was about to say the same thing about my brakes." The wind rustled through the trees as the rain started falling again. Said's hands were shaking. "Tunde, listen. This is not what you think." But Tunde didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed on Kunal, his best friend, the man he had trusted for more than 10 years. "Tell me something, Kunal," Tunde said slowly. "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" Kunal's face hardened instantly. For a moment, nobody spoke. The silence was heavy. Then Kunal forced a laugh. "You've lost your mind. You almost died and now you're imagining things." Tunde nodded slowly. "Maybe." He stepped closer, then explained something to me. He pulled out a small object from his pocket. "A phone. I recorded something 3 weeks ago." Kunal's eyes flickered. "Remember the night before the accident?" Tunde said. "When you came to my house?" Kunal didn't answer. Tunde pressed play. From the phone speaker, voices filled the air. Kunal's voice and Said's. "If the brakes fail on the bridge, nobody will question it." Saad gasped. Kunal lunged forward, but Tunde stepped back quickly. "Don't." The rain fell harder now. Kunal's face slowly changed. The friendly expression disappeared. In its place was something cold, something dangerous. "So you survived," Kunal said quietly. Tunde nodded. Kunal laughed. "You should have stayed dead." Before Tunde could react, Kunal pulled a gun. The truth behind the betrayal: gun pointed directly at Tunde's chest. Saad screamed, "Kunal, stop!" But Kunal didn't look at her. His eyes were locked on Tunde. "You were never supposed to survive," he said calmly. Tunde stared at him. "All this for my wife." Kunal laughed again. "You still don't understand." He shook his head. "This was never about Saad." Tunde frowned. Kunal pointed toward the city skyline beyond the cemetery. "Your company." Tunde's heart skipped. The truth slowly began forming. Tunde owned a logistics company that had recently won a huge government contract. Millions of dollars were involved. Kunal had been his business partner, but Tunde controlled everything. "You were in the way," Kunal said. "So the plan was simple. Kill you, comfort your wife, then take everything." Saad shook her head violently. "No, that's not what you told me." Kunal glanced at her coldly. "You believed I loved you." Said's face collapsed. Kunal returned his attention to Tunde. "But now that you're alive," he tightened his grip on the gun. "I'll just have to finish the job." A loud voice suddenly echoed from the cemetery entrance. drop the weapon. Kennel froze. Police officers rushed toward them. Tun smiled slightly. You really thought I came alone? Kennel's eyes darted around as police surrounded the cemetery. His confidence disappeared instantly. Tun set me up, he muttered. An officer stepped forward. Colonel Adebayo dropped the weapon. Colonel hesitated. For a moment it looked like he might shoot, but then he slowly lowered the gun. The officers rushed forward and grabbed him. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Colonel glared at Tunde. You think you won? Tunde didn't respond. Colonel leaned closer as the police pulled him away. This isn't over. You still don't know everything. Tunde frowned. What does that mean? Colonel smiled. You should ask your wife. The police car doors slammed shut. Colonel was driven away. The cemetery became quiet again. Only Tunde and Saad remained. Tunde turned toward her slowly. Saad looked terrified. Tunde, I can explain. Tunde stared at her for a long moment. Then he asked the one question that had been burning inside him. When did it start? Saad wiped tears from her face. 2 years ago. Tunde felt his chest tighten. 2 years. The same time his company started growing rapidly. The same time Colonel became his partner. Said's voice shook. I didn't know he wanted to kill you. I thought he just wanted control of the company. Tunde closed his eyes briefly. Everything he had built, everything he trusted, destroyed by the two people closest to him. But Said's next words froze him completely. There's something else you need to know. Tunde looked at her. What? Saad whispered quietly. Colonel wasn't the one who cut the brakes. Tunde's stomach dropped. Then who did? Saad looked toward the road, where a black car had just parked outside the cemetery. Her voice trembled. Your brother.